Thank you all so much for being here. As David just said, we are all coming to the realization that in order to address the growing cost and the growing casualties of our chronic diseases, mental health problems, we need to go upstream. And what is interesting and why I'm so happy to be moderating this panel is that now brands are actually having a real tangible impact on people's health. And here to discuss this, we have Kathy Fish, who is the head of R&D and innovation at P&G. She has an almost $2 billion budget to conduct research and development and to bring these insights into the way P&G reaches its 5 billion consumers. Shelley Ibach, she and I have been working together for almost 5 years now. She's the CEO of Sleep Number, and through the technology that she has brought into the mattress, she's been able to change outcomes dramatically for Sleep Number consumers and to also elevate the discussion of sleep. And she's also a sleep editor at large at Thrive Global. So we are working together to increase that awareness. And finally, I'm delighted to have here Deborah Kilpatrick. She's from Georgia, and she says that everything in her life stems from the fact that her father was a high school football coach in the rural South. And he must have been a pretty impressive coach and father, since Deb ended up getting a PhD in mechanical engineering, working in the aerospace industry, and making her way to Silicon Valley and the biotech industry, where she's now CEO of Evidation Health. She's also the only panelist who has worked on the F-22 Raptor. I'm only certified on the F-16, Deb. So I'm delighted to have you all here. And Kathy, let me start with you. P&G obviously has an enormous reach and an enormous amount of data about people's habits and well-being routines, which is why going upstream really matters. So what can you tell us about what increases habit compliance and sticking with a new habit or lifestyle change that's healthier?
Okay, so not everybody knows our brands, but hopefully you use them all the time. We have brands across many, many different categories like Pantene, Head & Shoulders, Olay, Gillette, Tide, and I could keep going. And our purpose is to improve consumers' lives every day, which we really try to hold ourselves to that bar on innovation. And as I was preparing for this, what really surprised me was how low compliance is in healthcare compared to personal care products. So if only 10% people eat the fruits and vegetables they should, only 23% exercise like they should. More frightening, only 50% take their medicines in a compliant way. Whereas, 70% of people brush their teeth twice a day, every day. So why is that? I'll just start with oral care. Reality is oral care is really important to your health. The chronic benefits are there of cavity prevention and gum health. But yet, if you told people that when they're 65, 25% of people will lose all their teeth, which is true, it still would not drive the habit change that you want. So what we have to do is really think about the holistic experience for the consumer, and we have to combine those chronic benefits with some shorter term, more acute benefits like fresh breath, clean mouth, whiter teeth, healthier smiles that affect their everyday life in a really meaningful way. If that makes sense. And just one more thing, we are finding that technology can really help drive habits as well. So pretty easy to get older women to use skincare products because we want to look better. Very hard to get younger women to use them, even if you tell them that will help them stay younger longer. But we've done tons of clinical research. We have tens of thousands of high-quality visuals that we can now use artificial intelligence on, and we can tell you your skin age versus your real age, and where you have strengths and where you need improvements and what products you should be using. And as we were able to get that into a web-based app, called Olay Skin Advisor, we are now getting millennials to engage and to actually buy products and to use those products. And we know from our partnership with 23andMe that if you do that, your skin age can be 10 years younger than your actual age. So it does make a difference.
It's amazing, and it's all relatively new.
Yeah.
And you can track the impact. I mean, I love the study you did at Yale that gave us so much information about how women feel about their hair.
Yeah.
And how only 1 in 10 women thinks they have a good hair day. We'll take a poll here afterwards.
And it affects your confidence, which affects how you approach things, right? So, opportunities.
Shelley, we have tons of wearables that track sleep. What is different about putting the sleep tracker in the mattress, and what is it that actually makes that data much more actionable?
Well, it's an important question, and let me just start with the opportunity. You know, society is beginning to understand the importance of sleep and the value of sleep to one's overall wellness, physical, mental, and emotional. And the CDC cites that 35% of adults are not getting the proper sleep that they need. And over 40% of consumers expect that their poor quality sleep will lead to health issues in the future. So this is such an important area to improve one's quality sleep tied to their overall well-being. At Sleep Number, we are mission-driven, and our mission is improving lives by individualizing sleep experiences, which really gets at the heart of your question about providing our customers individualized sleep experiences. The most important factor to one's quality sleep is what they sleep on, to ensure that they're achieving the highest level of comfort and support so that you stay asleep. So therefore, our technology platform, which is called Sleep IQ technology, is incorporated into the bed so that our full body sensors track your heart rate, your breathing rate, your overall restful sleep, restlessness, and time in bed, and deliver the information via the app showing your Sleep IQ score and your biometric data points every day, and insights and tracking and giving you your trends over time. But most importantly is this isn't just information like so many of the wearables are providing different information, data, lots of data. This accurate level of biometric data is reading movements throughout the night and detects any disturbances or changes. So if you turn over in the night, the bed will automatically adjust the firmness of each side for each sleeper so that you achieve the highest level of comfort and support. So it's all about getting the highest quality of sleep. So in the end, it's effortless. All you have to do is go to bed and sleep. You were just talking about how difficult it is to change people's habits. Yep. And at Sleep Number, that's what we focus on is, how do we provide meaningful innovation that moves society forward, and doing so in an effortless way, because we don't want to depend on everybody needing to change their habit. Mm-hmm. All you have to do is get in bed and go to sleep, and you will achieve higher quality sleep. And then there are additional learnings that you have where you can get into additional changes in your lifestyle and, when you exercise, and you learn all of that with the Sleep IQ technology. Including
one of my favorite things on my Sleep Number bed, which is being able to control the temperature.
Yes. Yes, our dual temp layer is amazing.
Great. And if your partner wants a different temperature, they can control it their way, and you can control it your way, and it prevents a lot of divorces. We don't have the data on the divorce part yet, but I'm sure Shelley will work on it.
We often say we save marriages at Sleep Number, and we bring people back together in their bed. I loved, yesterday I heard so many of the speakers talk about the importance of individualizing. individualizing regimes and healthcare for people, because everybody is an individual. And that's right at the heart of what we're all about. It is about individuality and optimizing, our full spectrum for each of us.
And Deborah, how does all the work you are doing around tracking and around giving nudges, how does that affect what we call precision health and proactive health?
Sure, and I would like to also vote for the dual temp layer as favorite feature on Sleep Number Guide. I do agree that it saves relationships. So the question about precision health here is incredibly important, because if you think about what we've spent the last 15 years in healthcare doing, which is sorting through the genome and using that as a platform for new diagnosis and therapeutic development, we are now in the era where the new platform is everyday life and digital data that we can have as permission data sets from individuals in daily life to use for the purposes of clinical research and as platforms for new diagnosis development, new therapeutic development. And so when you think about precision health being this combination of biology and behavior as being the underlying variables and the underlying sets of data that will allow us to be indeed very precise about what's going to be calibrated at an individual level to improve outcomes, you can see why the digital era that we are in now is so profoundly important to the development of that being a reality. I think there's a really important difference between the last 15 years of our journey through the genomic era and the speed with which we are now moving in the digital era, and that's the sampling frequency. Like, if you think about it, a lot of what was required to develop new therapies and diagnostics with genomic information, the rate limiting factor was how you got the tissue sample from the body. How did you get biology out of the body so that you can make sense of it? I can get behavior data right now, right? Very easily once someone turns on a data stream and permissions it for use. Evidation today is connected to about 2.5 million people in all 50 states. All therapeutic areas that you might imagine as being the most prevalent in the US. And at any one point in time, those permission data streams and those individuals can be put into an informed consent for a given protocol. So we're really revolutionizing the way that outcomes are measured in daily life, which can be the underlying enabler of how we allow health to become more precise to the individual.
So Kathy, you actually have been pioneering connecting an enormous amount of data with storytelling.
Yes.
And you've done some great work in storytelling. Would you give us an example or two?
Yeah, I think, advertising, when done really well, tells a story that makes an emotional connection with the consumer and helps them understand how your product's going to improve their life. And we are the biggest advertiser in the world, and we try to do that on all of our brands. But I think the ones that have the biggest impact is when you're taking on a condition that is embarrassing for consumers to talk about. So as a result, they just don't get the information you need. So an example for us is Incontinence. We sell Always Discreet as a brand, and as we got into that, we learned that 1 in 3 women over the age of 18 have the issue. It gets worse with pregnancy and then weight gain and then menopause. But, and people are so afraid they're going to have an accident, they end up not going to places they would like to go if they're not sure where the restrooms are, and their life starts to narrow, their self-confidence goes down. And then what we also learned is only 1 in 9 of those women were actually using a product to help them manage the condition. So you have to ask, well, why is that? And I would say it's 2 things. The advertising just really didn't connect with them. It didn't tell them a story that they could relate to, or it didn't seem congruent with their life. And then when they finally tried products, they felt like they were wearing adult diapers. So neither side was good at all. And we approached that by having real women talk very authentically about the challenges they had. And then we designed products that were protected incredibly well, but were very discreet and were actually pretty. We brought a lingerie designer in to help work with our product designers to really make the product look and feel like real underwear. And we're going to continue to push down that vector. But we've made a lot of progress today. 1 in 6 women are wearing a product to help them with their condition. And hopefully we'll keep going from there. it just shows what you can do. And our next effort is on menopause, where again, a lot of women have no idea what's happening, and they're embarrassed to talk about it. So we've just launched a brand called Pepper and Wits, and it's direct to consumer, and we're really working, which I think there's a lot of opportunity in the health space to do, to bring information through our advertisements, but also to bring communities of women together. We're working with medical experts to get that information right, and then we're designing products that actually really address, we're talking about real issues like vaginal dryness and hot flashes in a very open way. While we're candid, we're also credible and we're optimistic. We're not negative, and we're bringing in real information, connecting them to medical experts when they need to be, connecting them to other women when they need to just be able to talk.
So it's the power of community too.
It is, absolutely.
You are also using Shelley, and it's kind of fascinating how when you take issues that can lead to huge medical problems, because if you don't go out because you think you're going to be embarrassed, it's going to affect your mental health, it's going to affect the way you eat, the way you sleep. Yep. And specifically on sleep, we now have a lot more awareness of how critical it is to our health. Yes. But how do you see your technology actually helping people take specific steps that do improve their sleep?
Well, society does recognize how important it is, but yet it's still aspirational. Quality sleep is aspirational, and people do not necessarily understand how to make the changes in order to achieve higher quality sleep. It does start with what you sleep on. So ensuring that you have that individual comfort and support, but it's also making quality sleep a badge. And that's what we've been working on, and Arianna and I have had many discussions on it, with other people, really trying to change the tone around quality sleep. So every day, all of our customers see their Sleep IQ score. My average Sleep IQ score is 82, and my sleep number setting is 40, and the setting refers to the firmness of the mattress. But the Sleep IQ score, it's such an important badge. It talks about, hey, I'm committed to my health and wellness. Every day at Sleep Number, every meeting we have, every single individual goes around and shares their Sleep IQ score from the night before. It really sets the tone, and people want to achieve high scores. And at my big town hall meetings, everyone's competing on the score, and the highest score always receives a prize, so it's pretty fun. And almost always the score is like right up there in the 90s. And by the way, I had a 97 last week. I was excited about that. But we also went to the NFL, and we now have over 1,800 active NFL players sleeping on the Sleep Number bed and talking to all of their social networks about their quality sleep. And I love that. I love that change of tone about these macho NFL players who are so physical, but yet also need to be so on top of their game mentally. And sleep contributes clearly to the mental and the emotional and the physical well-being, and they're talking about it, and they're influencing others to invest in their sleep. So it's a great example of the difference we can make. And then, importantly, we collect over 8.5 billion biometric data points every night on our Sleep IQ technology platform. And this gives us the intelligence, the AI, to be able to continue to feed our algorithms. And we're so excited what that means for the future as we do good with our technology and provide individuals more and more information about their overall health and wellness because of what we can see in our accurate data that and all the biometric data points that we're collecting every night, and how that applies to the individual algorithm.
I love that, and I love that you brought athletes in as role models, because that goes counter to the macho idea that you just power through and you don't need sleep. Exactly. Deborah, based on all your data and on all your research, what are the most effective behavior change interventions for improved health?
Well, maybe said another way, Arianna, where will behavior quantification be the most useful in understanding the lived experience of people with different conditions, and how can that then be turned into behavior-based interventions? So if you think about it, behavior is extremely unusual because it's both a driver of health outcomes, for example, in cardiometabolic diseases, and it's a reflection of health outcomes or disease status in other diseases, such as Alzheimer's, such as chronic pain. And so we're doing a lot of work in central nervous system related disorders and central nervous system conditions like Alzheimer's and like chronic pain, which I'll give 2 examples of to make the point. We're getting ready to release data along with MIT and Boston University in the Framingham cognitive cohort. Studies over many years as many of the Framingham cohort went into cognitive decline. It turns out that voice, speech, gait, and other visual activities that can be measured, as well as physical activities that can be measured, are absolutely indicative of mild cognitive impairment very early in disease, and we're getting ready to release some of this data. We think it's incredibly important for the purposes of getting patients ultimately into care early enough with some of the new molecules that are being developed. In the case of chronic pain, Evidation has just this morning released the early results from one of our early sets of data release in the Discover trial. Now, the Discover study is a study of 10,000 patients across the US, enrolled from all 50 states in various cohorts experiencing chronic pain. Some of these patients have migraine, some of them have fibromyalgia, some of them have osteoarthritis, some of them are cancer patients that are experiencing neuropathic pain on the other side of chemo. We're actually been able in the early first year of this study to quantify the lived decrease of activity in chronic pain. Now imagine that. I mean, we all intuitively know this, but now we can quantify it at a level with resolution that is day to day. That is going to underlie the way that we enhance behavioral interventions in many conditions, like Alzheimer's, like cardiometabolic disease, and like chronic pain.
And Kathy, one of the things you and I have been talking about, and we're working with P&G on and Thrive Global, is how can we take advantage of this amazing compliance in consuming products to add a micro step, a too small to fail daily incremental habit that will improve health outcomes, like, for example, adding a gratitude moment while you are brushing your teeth. How do you see that habit stacking working?
Well, I am really excited that we're going to go experiment and learn. We've learned how to measure quality of life improvements with our products. We've taken that from the pharma industry and reapplied and adapted it to consumer products, and it's externally validated. It works incredibly well. So, I think we have a great opportunity to experiment with different approaches to stacking habits and see which works the best and really double down on doing it. So more to come on that, but I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I love how data-driven you've all been.
When you can prove something, you can really drive progress.
It's really powerful. Data and storytelling. Thank you so much.